Hey everyone, this is Niko bringing you another BW battle. This battle, it's my good buddy Paul. Paul sends his Jellison out on the scene, and I chose our K9 to lead off with. Our K9 gets the Intimidate on Jellison, but I mean, Jellison doesn't really do attack. So I go for the Wild Charge, and Wild Charge hits Jellison for some pretty decent damage, and he goes for. I get the recoil, and I lost HP because I have Life Orb, and he goes for the taunt, which was pretty smart on him because right after that, I was gonna use a move that could be taunted, so I was pretty good. So he withdraws Jellicent and sends in Terrakion, and I go for the Wild Charge again because I thought he was going to keep his Jellison in since he did the taunt thing to stop me from doing whatever. So Wild Charge almost does half of Terrakion's life, and for some odd reason he goes for the Sword Dance thinking I was going to switch, but I'm not known for switching, so I stay in and I go for the close combat because I definitely want to take out Terrakion because he is definitely a threat once he gets his boosted attack. So I get the defense drop and the special defense drop, but I take Terrakion out. So I've crippled one of his Pokemon and taken out one of his strong ones. So he sends in Magnezone, and I'm thinking I was faster, but I wasn't, and he goes for the Volt Switch, and due to my special defensive drop, the Magnezone hits my Arcanine and takes it out. So he goes back to Paul, and Paul sends in Venusaur. I then send out Petroclus, but the thing with Petroclus is he's not really Archeops. He's a Pokemon in disguise, as you'll see. So he withdraws and sends out Magnezone, and I go for the substitute because he was predicting I'd probably do acrobatics or something to take out his Venusaur. So I get the leftovers, and I go for Swagger, and I boost his Magnezone's attack, but he gets confused. So his Magnezone becomes confused, and then he hits himself. So I'm like, okay, cool. So I get some lefties up, and at this point I noticed his Magnezone couldn't be Choice Scarf because I went first. So I go for the Flamethrower, and like I said before, Petroclus is not a Petroclus, he's a Pokemon in disguise, and it's super effective on his Magnezone, and his Magnezone is confused again, hits himself, and he goes down for the count. So I'm like, wow, this is actually working pretty good, this strategy I got going on. So I get my life up with the leftovers on Petroclus, and he sends out Latias. So I go for the Swagger again, and I raise his Latias attack, of course, that's what Swagger does, but I confuse him again. So his Latias is confused, and his Latias hits himself. So I'm like, yay, Swagger is working really well. So I get the leftovers up, restores my life fully, so I go for Foul Play. By now, everybody should have guessed that my Petroclus is actually Zoroark in disguise. So Foul Play hits his Latias for major damage. His Latias snaps out of confusion, but he goes for Calm Mind, which I thought was pretty weird. You want to get rid of the substitute. But anyway, you know what Calm Mind does, so I just go for Foul Play again and take his Latios out. So two Pokemon got killed off due to my Swagger confusion strategy. So at this point I messed up here because I went for the Swagger, and instead I should have went for the Flamethrower because Flamethrower would have did more damage than the Swagger. So I kind of misplayed with this point. So his Venusaur is confused, but he pulls off the Energy Ball, and Energy Ball hits and gets rid of Patroclus' substitute. So this time I go for the flamethrower, which I should have went for the first time. And also on this play I should have did substitute again because I know people love to put people to sleep with Venusaur, and what do you know it? He goes for the sleep powder and it puts Patroclus to sleep. So I really don't want to lose this Pokemon, so I withdraw my Zora and I send in the real Patroclus. So he snaps out of confusion and goes for Leech Seed. I'm Leech Seed. And I'm seeded. He gets, left Black Sludge, powers his life back up, and then he gets the leftovers drained. So he switches out his Venusaur, I believe, at this point because he knows this is the real Archeops, and switches into Jellicent. So I go ahead and I go for the Acrobatics with the boosted Flying Gem, which is a standard on most Archeops. But the thing with this Archeops is that Patroclus is actually a special attacker. So I did it like that because of his ability, because Defiant drops his attack and not his special attack, so I wanted a special attack. So I go for the Focus Blast on his Skarmory and I miss, and he takes that turn to set up Stealth Rocks. So he gets the life from the Leech Seed. So I go for the Focus Blast again because that's the only thing I know that's going to hit his Skarmory. And I'm also trying to get that special defense drop so I can hit him with one of my other special attacking moves at Archeops. So he roars Patroclus out of there. And in comes my Persian. So I get the Stealth Rock damage and I go for the Fake Out. And it does not that much damage because, nothing really affects Skarmory with his awesome defenses and everything. But it flinches him for a little while. So I go for the Hypnosis, and I get the Hypnosis off, which is good. So his Skarmory falls asleep, and at this point I decide to take Persia back out because I'm just going to use Persia to keep faking out and U-turning all his other Pokemon or putting them to sleep if I get lucky. So Persia comes back to me, and I send in Gyarados because I want to lower his Skarmory's attack because I know now his Skarmory is a basic Skarmory, Brave Bird, Roost, Stealth Rock, and Roar. So I get the attack drop on him, and I go for the Dragon Dance, and his Skarmory is still asleep. Ordinarily, I would be greedy and go for 2 Dragon Dances, but I decided not to and go for the Waterfall just to see how much damage Waterfall would do. Waterfall almost takes his Skarmory out, but his Skarmory wakes up, and then of course he roars me out of there. So in comes my Zora, who we all know was put to sleep earlier by Venusaur in his Patroclus cover. So I get the lefties on the Stealth Rock damage, so I'm fast asleep when I try to go for a Flamethrower, and Skarmory Roost. So Skarmory gets to be healed up after all that damage that I did. So I get to heal up too. So now I'm at full life, and I tried to go for the Flamethrower again and on his Skarmory, but he switches out and brings in his Venusaur. So I woke up, which was good, one turn wake up, and I get the Flamethrower off, and the Flamethrower nails his Venusaur for pretty much decent damage. So then on top of humiliation, I get the burn. He gets his health restored with the Black Sludge, but then he gets burned. So I'm just going to go for Flamethrower again, but my opponent decided to end the game. So good game. Next time.